Let's be very serious. Latinos voted for Trump because they want to be as close to whiteness as possible. It's because they are anti-black. It's because of the internalized racism. It's because of the pure out, not even internalized, it's for the outward racism.
I'm just going to say it. If you're a fellow Latino or especially a Puerto Rican who's voting for Trump, I think you're a complete sellout. You're not only selling out our country, but you're selling out our people, our community, our Latinas.
Top 3 people that delivered Trump his victory were white women, white men, which we all kind of expected, but Hispanic men, Latino men, like, I would have never in a million years expected that, especially when we think about our own history in this country. When we look at the deportation of millions of Mexicans in the 1930s with the Mexican repatriation, and a lot of them being Mexican Americans, knowing what happened to the braceros, the manual laborers who came to the U.S. to better the U.S.'s economy, the agriculture after World War II, how they were sanitized, and that influenced parts of the Holocaust. Just the historical racism, this amplified hatred towards our people, towards people that look like us, brown people. You would think that that would be enough to not allow your morality, to put someone in place that literally compromises the very existence of our people. A lot of those Latino men who voted for Trump knew what happened to their own community, a lot of which weren't immigrants. If we want to talk about how this is not about immigration, but illegal immigration, if they knew about those parts of history, I think they would stand against someone like Trump. But because we don't know that or care to know that, we are so much closer to that happening again, to history repeating itself again. And it is just so heartbreaking that the reason why it might happen again isn't because of these unhinged white people. It's because of our own people. Think about that for a second. Our own people are the reason why there will be so much pain and suffering among our community. Like, that is gross. I guess if there's a silver lining, amigos, is that I'm just feeling so motivated and hungry to educate our people on dark chapters in history that we aren't aware of, a lot of which I still might not be aware of, but we're going to learn as we go, because it's so important that we are aware of what happened, aware of what's happening, so that this does not happen in another 4 years, that our communities aren't constantly under threat and danger and anxiety and fear because our very own people aren't aware of the capabilities of electing someone who is anti-immigration and honestly anti-brown, anti-anything but white.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Sparkle's show, where we break down the most talked about stories with an open mind and real discussions. We appreciate your show of love and support towards this channel. Before we dive in, we want to give full credit to the original video creators and Stitches who have sparked this conversation. Your experiences and insights are what keep these discussions alive. Today, we're tackling a story that has shaken up Latino Trump supporters, as many now express deep regret over their vote. The reality of ICE crackdowns, deportations, and strict immigration policies is setting in, and it's leading to a wave of frustration, fear, and public backlash. This isn't just a social media moment, it's becoming a political wake-up call for many. So let's break it all down after the end of the video for more commentary.
I've been getting some comments calling me divisive, saying, right now's not the time for finger pointing. We need to work with Latinos for Trump. Latinos for Trump already divided us when they walked into that voting booth on November 5th and made a conscious decision to sell out their family, to sell out their friends, and to sell out their entire community as a whole to ICE. And for what exactly? A pat on the head from the whites? For white proximity? For white validation? I am not the one causing the division, so don't come here and try to gaslight me. I voted to keep their families safe. I'm not the one who voted to have ICE raids on their families. Latinos for Trump are the ones who voted to have ICE raids on their own families and their own friends and their own community. A majority of Latinos foolishly gave your votes to Trump. And how did Trump thank y'all? By making it his very top priority on day one to deport as many of you, as many of us, as he possibly can. He said, get the fuck out. It doesn't matter if you're illegal or not. It doesn't matter if you're a criminal or not. He wants you out because you're not white.
This is so crazy that we voted for Trump. We trust.
You voted for Trump, and that's why what's happening in America is happening right now.
Why did so many Latinos vote for Trump? Many Latinos have a fantasy heritage, and the US is a perfect place to entertain those fantasies given its history of white supremacy. Fantasy heritage is a term coined by Dr. Frank Perez at University of Texas, El Paso. And as Paula Ramos writes in her book, it's the idea that when the situation calls for it, many Latinos can prioritize their whiteness and erase the specificity of their indigeneity. Proximity to whiteness leads to the erasure of indigeneity. This is one of my favorite quotes. The delusions of fantasy heritage can easily morph any semblance of indigeneity and darkness into whiteness, thus turning Latinos into the ultimate conquistador. It is much easier to embrace fantasy heritage than to deal with the complicated, violent, and messy past that we have with race. So just like Don Quixote, we believe we're a noble conquistador instead of someone fighting our own mind.
I've been crying so much because my fiance is an immigrant. And every time he goes out, I'm just so nervous. And it's so hard. You know, I knew this day was gonna come. I know so many people going through the same thing, and it's just very sad. I've been crying for 3 days. My head hurts so much, like I don't even want to go outside. And every time he steps out the house, automatically I'm just crying and praying so much that nothing is gonna happen, because I don't know what I'm gonna do if something happens and he gets deported. This is terrible. This is the worst feeling. This is one of the worst feelings. I don't want to cry, and I was debating whether I was going to post this video or not, but I have no words. I just don't know what to say. All I can do is cry and pray that everything is gonna be okay, that all of this is gonna blow over.
My immigrant mother just called me on the phone, innocently asking me if she should start carrying her passport in case they start doing mass deportations.
I've been crying so much because my fiance is an immigrant.
I just spent the last 30 minutes crying as I read about all the mass deportations.
Because I've been thinking a lot about this, and I know it's going to be controversial, but I'm actually rooting for Latinas and Latinos who voted for Trump. I really am. I really hope that they get everything that they voted for, and I hope that they never forget who they voted for. So when they're waving goodbye to their undocumented partner because they got deported back, I want them to remember who they voted for.
The shift. Why are some Latinos regretting their vote? When Trump campaigned on stronger immigration enforcement, many Latino voters supported him for economic reasons, religious values, or conservative principles. However, now that these policies are hitting their own communities, some are questioning whether they made the right choice. Here are a few things we're seeing. 1. Businesses impacted. Latino business owners are losing workers, customers, and even their own ability to operate in some cases. 2 family separations, more cases of undocumented family members being deported, leaving citizens behind to deal with the consequences, increased fear. Some Latino Trump supporters say they didn't expect this level of enforcement and now feel betrayed. One viral video even shows a Trump supporter in tears saying, "I never thought it would happen to us." The internet reacts, "You played yourself," versus, "We need to help." As expected, social media is exploding with opinions. Some people are sympathetic, saying, "This is a wake-up call, but we shouldn't turn our backs on them. We need unity." Others are less forgiving, commenting, "You voted for this. Now you're dealing with the consequences." Some are saying this is just another FAFO moment, mess around and find out, meaning people are learning the hard way that policy choices have consequences. There's even been a heated debate about whether Black and brown communities should show solidarity or whether Latino Trump supporters need to take full accountability. Beyond personal stories, this situation has major implications for both politics and the economy. The Latino vote in 2024 and beyond. Will this regret translate into a political shift in upcoming elections? Or will voters stick to their party but demand changes? Economic fallout, businesses losing